Education is so much more than scratching facts and figures on a blackboard. It is about utilizing the best mode of conveying information to students. Thus, psychology is a key part of the educational process. Educators must ask themselves, how can I teach in a way that optimizes learning? How exactly do students learn? Today, I will focus on 3 key areas of educational psychology: perplexity, Vygotsky's sociocultural theory, and Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. In Lesson 2, What is Learning?, the concept of perplexity was brought to light through the ideas of mathematics teacher Dan Meyer. The lesson resonated with me because I struggled as a high school student to be intrigued by the monotonous memory work of my classes. Meyer's arsenal of perplexing educational tools and real-world examples reminded me that learning can be an exciting phenomenon. In classrooms where learners experience boredom and confusion, it is not enough to simply engage students. For true learning to take place, students must be presented with critical thinking problems or questions that truly perplex them. Ramzi Musallam phrases it slightly differently. He states that educational tools are only worthy when they spark, track, and quench curiosity. However, the concept is the same. Students will truly learn when they are interested and motivated enough to seek out the answer. This is where the power of perplexity truly shines. Students will discover that the only way for them to answer the present problem is to practically utilize the discipline being taught. Learners will construct a math solution, hunt elements down on the periodic table, or traverse the rules of grammar to quench their questions. The concept of perplexity has called me as a future educator to look beyond the textbooks and state requirements. I need to do more than teach my students. I need to make them want to learn. Perplexity requires me to open up lessons with real-world questions that will only be answered through the course of my material. Perplexity convicts me, and all educators for that matter, to not fall into the laziness of an uninventive lesson. Bored students do not retain information, and even engaged students do not consider how their knowledge applies in the larger picture. Only by calling students to ask how and why will I succeed in truly and deeply teaching my subject. In Lesson 3, Cognitive Development, the various ideas of psychologists Piaget and Vygotsky were pursued in detail. I was particularly drawn to the sociocultural theories of Vygotsky. As a highly independent student, it was beneficial to realize the value of learning that comes from social settings. The psychologist asserts that we learn through the environment, and thus, we learn through each other. He notes the importance of assisted learning, which is exactly what it sounds like, learning from someone else. We discover our world through assisted learning from the very moment we draw breath. Similarly, co-constructed processes, or when learning does not happen by oneself, rather, an individual constructs knowledge with peers. Co-constructed processes often occur within cooperative learning groups, small groups where students not only reinforce their knowledge, but grow in problem-solving and leadership strategies. Vygotsky calls the difference between what a learner can do without help and what he or she can do with help the zone of proximal development. Peer and teacher mentoring is thus crucial to the process of learning because it aids a student in receiving the boost he or she needs to breach a gap in knowledge. In applying this knowledge to my own life as a future educator, I have resolved to never allow myself to lecture at my students for the entirety of a class period. It is crucial to break up the material with time for learners to converse with each other, reinforce each other's knowledge, clarify confusion together, and facilitate each other's learning experience. Additionally, I understand now how important it is to be aware of each student's zone of proximal development so that everyone in my class can receive the proper amount of assistance needed to succeed. If other educators apply these elements as well, promoting co-constructive processes through small groups, partner tasks, and other social classroom experiences, then education will take a positive step in the right direction. We need to remember that learning without social interaction is not always the best approach. In Lesson 4, Learner Differences, Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences stood out to me. Surrounded by musically talented friends who struggled to earn strong grades in school, I have always been concerned with the underrepresentation of certain aspects of learning and knowledge in schools. The wide span of diversity among the intelligences presented by Gardner appealed to my sensitivity regarding this issue. The psychologist has identified a total of 7 intelligences in his research. These classifications are as follows: visual spatial intelligence, which deals with intelligence within the realm of physical space; bodily kinesthetic intelligence, which concerns the effective use of the body; musical intelligence, or showing sensitivity to rhythm and sound; interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence, which deal with understanding interactions with others and with oneself respectively; linguistic intelligence, regarding using words effectively; and logical intelligence, pertaining to reason and calculations. All individuals differ in the strength of these intelligences and will find ways to combine his or her skill sets to carry out tasks and solve problems. In the future, I will strive to include all forms of intelligence in my lesson plans. Adding snippets of music, art pieces, chances to stand up and move around the classroom, social interactions, and time for personal reflections will add diversity to classes that are normally centered around linguistic and logical intelligences. In this way, more students can benefit from the lessons and have chances to exercise their special skill sets. Modern educators should similarly apply the theory of multiple intelligences to the way they teach, and also the way they assess. By practicing more unconventional ways of testing students, certain individuals will prove their intelligence in other areas. The important thing is recognizing and celebrating the diversity in the classroom. One must inevitably conclude that education is not easy. Masterful teaching is an art, a science, a skill that comes with practice, experience, and a great deal of knowledge regarding the psychology of the classroom. Educators must not engage but perplex students' minds in order for true education to take place. Students must not only learn from the mouth of the teacher, but from the mouths of peers. Social learning cannot be underestimated within the process of education. Finally, educators must be aware of the multiple intelligences represented in their classes and be sure to cater to these special skill sets. Only through great awareness of the needs of the student and a deep psychological understanding of the class as a whole can a teacher become a master of their craft.